everyone. I'm Liz Brunner. I'm excited to have my next guest joining me, Johs Packard, who is the CEO of the Packard Group, where your work, I think, is fascinating because you help organizations try to understand why customers, clients, members have left.
Sure.
Really interesting, and more importantly, how to get them back, right? How can an organization create an effective strategy that's innovative when there are so many unknowns today?
So I think that there are a lot of unknowns in terms of the particulars, in terms of the details, but the one thing that we do know is that the world in 3 years is going to look different than it does right now. So the big thing that we work on is getting our clients to understand that they need to build resilient organizations that have the capacity for change. And there's a lot of the basic dynamics that govern how organizations change, that's the same. So no matter what kinds of things are coming down the line, you can be ready for them.
Do you still think it's complicated, though? More today than it's ever been?
Well, I think it's complicated only if we're working from this perspective that I think a lot of us work from, where we think of our organizations as being filled of individuals, and the reality is that our organizations are filled with teams. They're filled with groups. So often our managers and executives are working not with incorrect information, but with incomplete information.
Sure.
So I come along as a sociologist, we study groups of people, and so we really help sort of fill in that missing gap of like, okay, so it's not like this person doesn't like you, and it's not that this person doesn't like you, and it's not that, it's that there are these group level things that are happening that we need to sort of mitigate and prepare for and plan for that can help bring people along.
We hear a lot about innovation today and trying to get people to move the dial a little bit. Is it easier for a smaller or startup to have more innovation than a bigger established company?
Well, it is. I mean, the organizational science would prove this, that after a company grows to a certain size, or if it's been around for a while, and it's not as long as you think. I mean, it only takes
the average?
Like a couple of years or so,
Really?
maybe 30 employees before the founder, the CEO, can stand up there and yell all she wants. Nothing's going to happen without a system in place. When it's small, and I run a small research lab in terms of numbers at our university. I can tell them to do every week. I can influence the entire culture by just telling them to do what I want, right? But once it gets beyond a certain size of 25, 30, 35 employees, you really have to be intentional and systematic about the kind of change that you want to see.
So is that the key for the larger companies to be innovative?
It really is. There's the same organizational pressures that sort of push us towards conformity. Well, they also they have this unique way of creating entrepreneurs inside of your organization and creating innovators inside of your organization. We can draw on the science to help identify them. So there's a little bit of science there, but there's a lot of it is just a mindset and a systems issue.
You talk about being a sociologist and a researcher and professor at University of Northern Colorado, and one of the observations that I found fascinating when I was kind of learning a little bit about you before we were going to talk today was that you say that people in the middle of business sometimes have no idea what their business really is. That's a shocking statement.
Well, this comes from Walter Isaacson's podcast called Trailblazers, and it is this nice way of summing up that we can get so beholden to the processes.
Okay.
These things that govern our day-to-day lives that we think we're winning if we're just getting better at those, and if we're executing them perfectly. But when our focus is only there, it sort of shuts us off to the possibility of what we need to be paying attention to down the line or what's coming around the corner. So this is where we get into that. The example that he uses in that podcast is about the music industry. They thought they were in the music business, they were in the physical thing business, because as soon as the physical things went away, the companies went bankrupt, right? And I think the same is true for us in any field, even corporate real estate, where we can think that we're in the real estate business or we're in the sort of workplace business, and yet what consumes 90 to 95% of our time, it's working with vendors, outsourcing things, clients,
right?
Contracts, right? And we can get so embedded in that we take our eye off of this larger issue about how is this really structuring work that needs to get done for my company.
All fascinating work that you're doing, and we're so glad that you stopped by to join us today.
I'm thrilled to be here.
A pleasure to meet you. Enjoy the summit, and thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.